Radio.com. If you haven't got it yet, download our iPhone application. You can take WFO Radio wherever you go. In your car, on a plane, wherever you go. And joining us now, Tony Pedregon.
How you doing, Joe? Hey, that's some cool audio. That's exactly what I hear in the car. That little audio that you played going into that's 8,000 horsepower, and it's pretty cool to just hear the very distinct noise of these cars.
It is. There's nothing like the sound of a nitro car. It's just totally unique, and it gets in your soul. Weeks after this race, you travel the whole tour. I hit a race or two. I'll be hear something that kind of sounds like it, and it'll jog my memory. I have nitro flashbacks for weeks afterwards.
No, it is very addicting, and anything that you witness and see live. I mean, I don't really like basketball, but I've been to a basketball game, and it's kind of neat. You get into it, and this sport is just it's a lot worse. And one thing that we really try to work with all of our sponsors and just really people in general. If they're a racing fan, we just need to get you here for that one experience, and we really feel like we're going to hook you because it's hard to explain 0 to 100 miles an hour in under 1 second. It's hard to explain unless you can hit somebody in the chest. It really is hard to explain what these cars do to you when they go full throttle. It actually sets off a small earthquake up, I think, close to a 3 when 2 cars go full throttle on the starting line. So, kind of cool. Hard to explain.
Unbelievable. We just spoke with Captain Chaos a little while ago. He was up here. He was very excited to have Nitro Fish on your funny car for now. I know you're working on some other things as well, but we got to have Tony Pedregon out here. That's just mandatory.
Yeah, you're never going to hear me complain about the economics. I mean, you hear it every day on the news. Things seem to be stabilizing. This is still a great sport. It's a great product. There's still a lot of value here that companies are very intrigued by, interested in. Fortunately, I've developed a good relationship with Kenny. He's got a lot of history, not just in pro stock, but he's raced top fuel cars. He's pretty much driven everything except for probably a bike and a funny car. I'm trying to get him to make some 300-400 mile an hour spurts in my car. But I don't think I'm going to talk him into that. But he's a neat guy. He's very popular out here at the races, and he's got a great brand. It's kind of a neat niche, fish and nitro fish and apparel that he makes.
Mean-looking
fish. Very popular out here.
Very angry fish.
That's right. It bites.
Tony Pedregon is with us now. For you, Tony, last year you were involved in an incident that was highly publicized, a rivalry incident, and maybe at the time you didn't want to be in there. I know you were passionate. I more want to tackle it on the angle of, I really think that's what drag racers grew up with. Garlits and Muldowney and the rivalries and the true emotions and seeing you guys out there, regardless of the circumstance. It was really great to see you guys are so passionate about what you were doing there, and look at the coverage it got. Everybody was talking about it. Everyone was buzzing about it. Without it, no one would want anything contrived, but what are your thoughts about showing true emotions as they happen at the end of the racetrack and that as a tool to bring in new fans?
Well, I think you have to have it. To your point, I saw the preview for the Daytona 500, and the first 10-15 seconds was drivers throwing their helmets at one another, and Kyle Busch running somebody off the track. And it's just part of it, because if you break this down, it's racing. There are 2 cars that are competing, whether it's 2 cars or 30 cars, but they're machines. So people want it. They're impressed by a car that goes fast. But if you really think about how IndyCar, how NASCAR really evolved, it was a guy named Earnhardt, and there were personalities. There were charismatic guys, and they weren't just getting out of the car saying the same thing over and over, sounding like a robot, and mentioning all the sponsors. There were a couple of guys that stepped out of the box and let their true colors show. Some of them got into fist fights. It's a little embarrassing when you have to go home to your 10-year-old and really look at her when she saw you on TV, when her teachers are talking about it and say, "Hey, we saw your dad on TV." Well, he was on SportsCenter. There was a good part of it, and there was a not so pleasant part. But in the end, Tiger Woods had an 8-stroke lead. They broke to us on SportsCenter 4 times. So it's really our jobs to leverage that and to spin it in a positive way. But to some degree, it's about racing, but it's really about the drivers and the personalities. I think we need more of it. And
I agree.
I think
advocating.
There's some unsettled business that if it rears its head again, then we'll do it again.
Well, Tony, thank you very much for coming by.
Always
I really appreciate it. Hope you get all that paperwork signed, and have yourself a great weekend.
All right, appreciate it.
Tony Pedregon with us here on WFO Radio, and we are getting to the finish line here, but we have another opportunity. We got